Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here. Sunday morning. It's a Sunday special report, and we are having a great morning after a great event yesterday at Scotiabank Arena, WNBA in Canada game. First game ever in Canada for the WNBA was a huge success. I did end up going down there. I got my work done and I went head down there. And my scalper friends weren't outside, so I actually just went to the box office and they had tickets still available, y'all. And it was very affordable. It's kind of interesting. I went up there and I paid $40 for a ticket in the 112 section. So I was actually in my favorite section, the section that I used to work in as a sub maker, and just like not that far from the court. It was really awesome. So sometimes with events like this, you can wait and the day of the event, go down there and go to the box office. Seriously, just go right to the box office, just like you'd go to a movie theater, and they can hook you up that way. But it was fantastic. I mean, when I was on my way to the arena in a cab, the cab driver was like saying, this traffic around the Scotiabank Arena is a lot more than normal on a Saturday afternoon. There's not usually this much traffic at this time of the day. And he's like, this must be a big event you're going to. I said, yeah, it's the first ever WNBA game played in Canada. And it was awesome. Like, it was so cool to see the demography of the crowd was not a normal kind of Scotiabank Arena crowd. It was very, very young. It was obviously very, very female, and just people from all walks of life. And honestly, to tell you the truth, it was the best vibe I've ever felt in the Scotiabank Arena overall. As far as like the cheering, the positivity, the people there were just like really awesome people. You could just tell, just in general, all around the whole building. And there was a lot of very interesting people at the game also. Really, really cool to see who came out to support the WNBA yesterday. We had a strong Raptors contingency in the building, which was, of course, expected, but not as much as I thought. And this is really fantastic. First of all, obviously Masai was going to be there for sure. And he was. He was in center court, sitting right in the middle of the court across from Herbie in the scorers table. And he was with his daughter, sitting right center court with his daughter. And then on the other side in Drake's seat, sitting with his daughter, was Serge Ibaka. And it was really, really cool to see Serge. Serge was really chilling. He's just sitting there. He looked cool. He has his little bucket hat and is wearing a green suit. He's just chilling there with his daughter, not really cheering for either team, just taking it in. You could tell this was very much something that he wanted to do something with his daughter. And it was an event where they bond and they go and do stuff. This is why the WNBA could be so awesome in so many different ways here in Toronto. It inspires a young women, young people, all types. You don't have to be a female or male. You don't have to be anything. There were a lot of young little boys there too, getting to see this event, and that is good in a lot of ways also, because it normalizes women's sports as being gender equal, and that's important. That is very, very important. As time goes on, these young people that were at the game yesterday will get older, and their morals and their ideas about things will be different than the older people. And that's fantastic. That is absolutely what progress is all about, and change and getting better in the future. So it's that kind of stuff with all the news in the world that makes me jaded. It's that kind of stuff that makes me have hope and optimism about the future. It was really awesome to see Serge. When they announced him, they showed him on the jumbotron. The crowd went crazy. We gave him a standing ovation. In fact, we gave him the ovation that he deserved when he came back with the Clippers that one time when the arena was empty. We gave him that ovation that he deserved when he came back and he wasn't playing, and he kind of got a half-hearted kind of ovation. No, he got a standing ovation this time, and he stood up and he did the whole heart symbol to all of us. And it just looks so cool. Like, in some ways, I'm wondering, because Nick's gone, if Serge is like, I can be back around the Raptors, because he got rid of Nick Nurse, who pissed me off in the bubble and didn't play me near the end of that series with Boston. That was something stupid. In fact, that was kind of the first sign of Nick Nurse kind of cold freezing out people out of the lineup that pissed me off. It did not make any sense whatsoever why he wouldn't play Serge at the end of that bubble series. In fact, he barely played him in the last game, and Serge left the court. He just walked off the court before the game ended. Not many people realize this. So maybe now that we fired Nick, Serge can be back around our team in some sort of function. It'd be great. I mean, I don't know if he'd be a player, but it's some sort of function because the Raptor love is there and it's shared. And the fit of Serge Ibaka in Toronto somehow, some way, it just feels right in so many different ways. Other people there also Lou Dort sitting over near the visitors bench wearing these big fat Timberlands and just taking it in. That was really awesome to see Lou there. We were just talking about him and his connections to Toronto, whether he would, be interested in playing here. Well, he's coming to a WNBA game in Toronto, so that's pretty cool. Delano also sitting at courtside for the game last night. Really awesome to see Toronto's own Rexdale's finest at the game, and then in the box up above, I didn't even realize this with Bobby Webster was Christian Coloco and Jeffrey Doughton Jr. It's so good to see Jeffrey there. And I'm going to say this real quick. In the Instagram stories, Jeffrey's saying to everybody, I'm going to play Coloco's thing. He's saying on Instagram, he's telling everybody that Raptors family is in the house. I love to hear that out of Jeff's voice. He's saying Raptors family is in the house. Well, you are technically not a Raptors family yet, but you will be, and you must be going to be one because you were saying it at the WNBA game, saying Raptors family is in the house, and he looks so happy, palling around with Christian Coloco. I was surprised that Ron wasn't there also, especially since one of the best players in the game playing yesterday was from Rutgers and is a good friend of his, Cooper. But no, he wasn't at the game. It was very strange that he wasn't at the game. Well, that's a little bit of a check of seeing who was there. And of course, Nav was there too. He came and showed up and was palling around with Serge at one point in the middle of the game. Just really cool to see how Toronto turned up for this WNBA game. It was loud. It was good times. Now the action on the court, well, in some ways the ladies they needed to get a little warmed up because it wasn't pretty at times, but I think it really did have to do with the immensity of the crowd. In fact, we're seeing players from other teams like the LA Starks putting this game on blast, saying this is a WNBA game, y'all. Like they were proud of the size of our crowd, almost 20,000 people in that building. And that's a crowd that maybe the WNBA has not seen very often. So that's what I'm saying. This was hugely successful. They put on camera a little girl holding a sign said that Toronto wants a WNBA team, and everybody went wild. They went crazy. And if that isn't a shown a hunger for the WNBA in Toronto, I don't know what would. And that's the thing is like we really put out that showing of we are enthusiastic. We are excited. We want to see this league play in our city. We want to get to know these players and see more of these games here in the summer times in the WNBA league. And that, Kathy Engelbert, whatever you got to do, you got to figure it out. Now, she said in an article earlier this year in February, she said WNBA expansion remains 2 to 4 years out. And she said that in February. Now, they had initially planned to expand the league next year in 2024. But now she's saying that the timeline is kind of setting up for 2025 as possibly the time to expand. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Toronto's a shoo-in. Seriously, they'd be fools not to take and tap into this market and what they just saw yesterday. So I'm expecting we're going to get that team when that next date comes up. It's going to probably end up being us in Golden State that gets the teams. There'll be a Western team added and an Eastern team added. Now, if they only do two, we'll definitely be one of the two with Golden State probably. Now, if there's more than that, then they would start thinking about adding Portland again, Charlotte, Denver. There's a lot of other names otherwise. They have a list of 10 cities. I'm going to tell you right now, we are either number one or number two on that list for sure. The WNBA commissioner saying that the vibe here has been very strong and very positive and just really good. And that bodes well for our chances to get an expansion team here in Toronto for the WNBA. So everything lined up real good. This the whole thing went off without a hitch. It just went really good. And I think we impressed everybody at the WNBA. And we showed that the Toronto market is something y'all need to come take advantage of and come and provide that summer basketball entertainment. This summer WNBA, you go. All right, let me check in with the comments. Just a little going off a little bit on the event. A lot of fun. I'm glad I went down there. I'm glad I took part in history seeing the WNBA play their first ever game in Canadian soil. It's a big deal. It's the third time the WNBA's played abroad. The other two times were in Mexico and the UK. This is the first time ever playing in Canada. Monique is saying such a wonderful day yesterday all around for the ladies. What an opening speech by Bridget. Wow. It's our time, Toronto. Best standing ovation for Serge. Yeah. Were you there too, Monique? I wasn't sure if you were going to the game too. It was really good. It was awesome. Of course, being at the game, I did not hear the call by Amy Audibert and Megan McPeak and the rest of the crew there, but I did see everybody there hanging out. Kayla Gray, Savannah Hamilton, a lot of the broadcast people were there. Sherman Hamilton was there also. Just really good vibes there, and it was weird start time at 4, but I kind of liked it because I got out at a time I could walk around downtown afterwards, just go get a nice meal, and then head home. Walked home. It was really awesome. In fact, on my way home walking, I got recognized on the street again. Somebody yelled out Raptors freak and came up to me. This guy named Jeremy. What's up, Jeremy? I hope you're watching today. If not, whatever. It's all good. I was nice to meet you on the street yesterday and just have a little conversation for a second. So this is happening again, y'all. People are recognizing the Raptors freak on the street. That's awesome. Jeremy, you have a great weekend. Thanks for talking to me for a sec there. All right, yeah, let's keep going. Bridget Carleton was really kind of the honorary Canadian of the game for the Minnesota Lynx. She didn't play a whole lot. She only got 12 minutes. She did start, and she got like 3 points, but a bunch of rebounds. It wasn't really the showing, and she wasn't really the star. In some ways, it's really in the WNBA. It's like who's hot and who's playing really well will get those minutes at different times. But yeah, it was nice to see her out there. She was well spoken on the microphone before the game, and people gave it a big, loud, huge cheer. You could tell that she had family there and that she had a lot of friends too, also there to support her. That was awesome. Monique's also saying it's starting to become funny. If Doc Rivers loses tonight, he's the next one out. Yeah, Monty Williams getting fired yesterday. This was actually expected. I heard the noise coming out of Phoenix as soon as they got eliminated that the names on the list that they're trying to get out of there are Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and Monty Williams. Well, they did it with Monty. And this is the craziest thing. Monty Williams is one of the most winningest coaches in the last 3 years. In fact, if we looked at that list, 3 of them are now out of jobs. Nick Nurse, Mike Budenholzer, and Monty Williams. In some ways, Masai and Bobby are maniacal geniuses because they're doing something similar to what they did last summer with the Kevin Durant trade talks and the way things went last year, being kind of weird and kind of not totally clear about what their intentions are and what their motivations are on the field makes things kind of cloudy all around. And in some ways, that cloudiness and weirdness can kind of make other teams make bad mistakes. And some of the stuff that happened last year with the Durant sweepstakes was a very weird kind of situation. When we were talking about it, Toronto could game some of this to their advantage. Well, this is kind of what's happening right now. It's very strange. Like the domino of Nick Nurse getting fired by the Raptors has caused a chain reaction in some ways. I don't think they would have fired Budenholzer if we hadn't fired Nick. And in some ways, I don't think they would have fired Monty Williams if they hadn't fired Budenholzer and Nick. That in some ways, all these really high caliber winning coaches on the market all of a sudden is really, really weird. And these dominoes falling like this are very strange. In fact, I feel like we set this off by doing what we did with Nick Nurse. So it's a weird situation. It's uncertain, but there's more uncertainty for everybody now. And maybe there's more competition for the coaching jobs. But in some ways, certain coaches will only go to certain teams. And it's just going to be how it all falls around. Now, will we get Monty Williams here in Toronto? I don't know. I guess that's another name we're going to have to look at as far as somebody who could be possible now that he's on the market. I don't know if he's the right fit or who we want, but maybe I'm to do a little bit of a deep dive on him and see what's going on with that. Now, tonight, Doc Rivers, Game 7, Philadelphia, Boston. It's actually 3:30, the game starting. And this is a really crucial game, a Game 7, Philadelphia, Boston. A lot of history there, a lot of stuff. Doc's job may be on the line. You're right. Just because, he has a history of failure like this that's really gross and really, really bad. And it looks like he may be steering his team towards it once again. This is not good. I'm going to do the refs real quick for y'all for tonight. They're not good refs for Philly overall. Scott Foster is the crew chief tonight for the game in Boston, Game 7. He favors the Celtics. He does. Eric Lewis is the second ref. He also favors the Celtics. And then the last ref is Bill Kennedy, and he is the only friend to the Philadelphia 76ers today in their Game 7. He does actually favor the Sixers over the Celtics. So there's one ref that kind of favors the Sixers, and for Scott Foster being there, and he favors Boston. That doesn't bode well for the Sixers getting past this game. So we'll have to see what kind of storyline the NBA is trying to write. Is it Celtics versus Lakers? Or is it going to be Embiid versus Jokic? I don't know. We'll have to see what kind of thing that this has, how it goes today. So, today, in some ways, I'm picking Boston to win, even though I don't want them to. Please, Philadelphia, just beat them today. Please just beat them. Save Doc Rivers' job. Don't go out like this, seriously, like where you lost a few in a row when you had the lead in the series. Please don't fail today, Philadelphia. Just put them out. Mike's here. Good to see a Logical Raptors fanatic. Check out Logical's Raptors fanatic. Dropping stuff on Saturdays at 2 p.m. Just has a new one. Just came out yesterday. Check out what Mike's saying over on Logical Raptors fanatic, y'all, on YouTube, baby. Yeah. Salute the real ones. Project Truth always. Salute the mothers today. That's right, Mike. Thanks for bringing this up. And today, in some bad news, Ja was caught on Instagram flashing a gun again. It's going to get worse. Facepalm is right, Mike. Oh my gosh. Ja Morant, what is wrong with you, bro? Seriously, stop putting that ops life on blast. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. I thought you were getting rehabilitated or something like that. Didn't they have you come and do counseling to try and figure out why you do this self-destructive behavior? Listen, dude, if you're going to do this kind of stuff, don't flash it publicly. Don't flash it. Maybe you put a little private thing on your thing where it's just close friends on your Instagram so that you can just show it to your close friends and not to the whole entire world. Really, really dumb stuff. At some point, the NBA is going to get sick of you and throw you away like garbage. Seriously, if you don't stop doing this, the image for the NBA is not something that needs to be tied up with guns. So you need to clean yourself of the guns. You see anybody else in the NBA running around with guns, flashing them, or doing stuff like that? No, you don't. And there's a reason, because we don't want to be associated with that kind of stuff or perpetuating the stupid violence that's going on around our society in the world today with the prevalence of way too many guns in the United States. So you go ahead and live that ops life and see what you get. You're going to get your head, you're going to be right out of the league. Watch. Really, really dumb. In some ways, you got a second chance this year, and people are kind of like, okay, let's go forward. But if you do shit like this all summer, maybe you won't even be invited to training camp. Just so you know, Ja Morant, I'm going to warn you right now. As a Raptors freak, I'm just saying something to you because I want you to play, bro. You're exciting. You're a great NBA player. To throw it away just because you want to, peacock on social media with a gun, that's so dumb, bro. Seriously, your IQ points are very low in my brain if you cannot get this message to your head that this is not what you need to do with your career. And once again, really, really bad. All right, back to the other point. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I'm very happy and blessed that I'll be able to see you today on Mother's Day. That's not always the case. And I'm also going to get to go see my grandmother today. She'll be 101 next month, y'all. That's right. I'm going to go see my grandma today on Mother's Day. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And also a meal at the keg. Yeah, baby. We're going to the keg. All right. Good to see you, Mike. And happy Mother's Day to your mothers and all the other mothers out there today. Everybody, Jackie, Monique's mom, Jackie, everybody out there. We say happy Mother's Day to everybody out there today. All right, let's see. G is saying, go WNBA. Look like fun. Suns want Nurse. It makes sense. I could see him going either Milwaukee or Phoenix. Yeah, both those openings are they make sense in some ways for Nick Nurse. There's a little bit more veteran cores there where he's the kind of guy that can fit with that better, way better than Houston. The Houston Rockets rumor was kind of dumb, especially when it started up and how the Rockets fans were really thirsting for Nick. I was like, yeah, you go ahead, you idiots. You have a young team that is developing. Yeah, you go ahead and get Nick Nurse. That'll be funny to us. But him going to the Phoenix or going to Milwaukee, where you got more vets around, he could probably be successful on those two teams. I'd much rather see him out in Phoenix than in Milwaukee, obviously, because that's a Western Conference and we're in the Eastern Conference, and we don't want to see Nick all the time. Maybe twice a year is enough. So maybe go out to Phoenix and coach Kevin Durant and all them out there. And you do your thing out there, Nick. We'll see if they want to hire him. We'll see. Let's see what else is going on. And maybe Nick and Fred are back or together in Phoenix all of a sudden. Who knows? Let's see. Mike's saying a lot of Coach of the Year guys out in the market at the moment. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, is it a symptom of something that's changing in the NBA with how coaches are judged? Is it just that this is just a weird little period of time because we pushed that first domino with Nick Nurse, that everybody's dominoes are falling around in different places? And that's why these guys are getting fired right now. I don't know. Maybe people feel a little more daring because we were a bit daring, and now they're being daring. I don't know. We'll have to see how this all shakes out. I just want us to come out of this better. That's the thing. When I was at the game yesterday, when I saw Masai, I was focusing so much positive, good luck energy towards him, and I was saying little blessings towards him silently, like, I hope you get everything you want this summer and you're very successful, that you're sharp and quick with your decision making, and that you get what you need to get done this summer in a very successful, good way. Masai Ujiri, just sending him so much good luck energy to get these decisions and things done, him and Bobby, because this is a very key summer for the Raptors franchise in a lot of different ways. Marlon's here. Good to see Marlon Toby. What do you think of Monty Williams? That WNBA game was great. I don't know. I don't know. In some ways, I like Monty Williams, but the issues with him and Ayton were weird. And then also, there is some stuff about him that I'm kind of like, there's got to be some downsides to him. Because obviously, Phoenix, they were ready to let go of him. The fan base is not upset about him getting fired. And that's a very interesting thing to me. Yeah, that WNBA game is great. I don't want to overshadow it. In fact, I want to spend a little of the time talking about it real quick. Of course, the Chicago Sky won the game 82-74. It was a slow start to the game. It really did seem like the bright lights and the big crowd maybe was a little jittery, just like how a team may be in the playoffs for the first time or something like that. The bright lights of Toronto and the big crowd may have had the women playing a little shaky at the beginning, because it was, the game wasn't pretty in the first half. But in the second half, things kind of ratcheted up, and they were a lot more competitive, a lot more up and down the court, and a lot more energy and pep in the game. Now, Chicago was kind of winning the whole game, but Minnesota would come back and make these little runs to even things up here and there. But Chicago was kind of running things the whole game. It was a very interesting game. My 3 stars of the game for the Chicago Sky are Kalia Copper. She was the number 1 star. She was fantastic. She shot 8 for 16, 9 rebounds, 2 assists with 18 points. She was a +5. She was a huge factor in the starting lineup for the Sky. But they had a lady who came in off the bench, and I believe she's a rookie, Kiana Trailer, who was fantastic. Oh my gosh, she was good. She was a lefty, and she was bombing threes. She hit these really key threes in the second half that were fantastic. 5 of 9 from the field for Trailer, 3 of 6 from 3, 13 points, a +13 herself. She really picked it up and put them over the top at the end with some really, really timely threes late. Other players of note from that team, the center for the Chicago Sky was really a force around the basket. In fact, I was really impressed with both the centers for both teams. Bursch is the name of the center for Chicago. She was 4 for 7, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and 12 points. It really seemed like these centers on both sides, Bursch for Chicago, and then for the Minnesota Lynx, it was whatchamacallit. It was there was somebody who came in and got 2 blocks for them. Well, who was the center? There was a couple of people playing center for them. Dantes, I think Dantes was the center. No, it wasn't Dantes. She didn't play enough. Was it Juhas? Dorka Juhas from Hungary. She played pretty good defense down low too. But yeah, there were a lot of blocks. Like, it was really interesting to see the blocks on both sides of the court for both teams, because they were really forces down there. And listen, this game is physical, y'all. These women are not playing nice. They were hitting each other in the face. There was a couple of flagrant fouls. There was some really physical play where people were getting like muscled around, and the fighting for rebounds in particular. Fantastic stuff. Like really good stuff. So my 3 stars of the game for the winning Chicago Sky are Copper, Trailer, and Bursch. They were absolutely fantastic. The 3 of them. On the other side, honorable mention for 2 players for the Lynx. Off the bench, Mitchell came in. That veteran Tiffany Mitchell came in from South Carolina. She went to school there. And 6 for 8 from the field, 1 for 1 from 3, 19 points off the bench for Mitchell. And then in the starting lineup, Rachel Banham, who's a shooter, scorer, really interesting 3-point shooter on the starting lineup. She really got hot for a second there and started bombing threes and made a couple in a row. 4 of 8 from the field, 13 points with 3 assists and 3 steals. Rachel Banham playing pretty good for Minnesota also. So yeah, good stuff. Really interesting game. It was close near the end, so it was entertaining in that way. And they got going, they got heated up. The entertainment was a lot more because they were scoring and getting up and down the court. And there were layups over people, and all the good stuff, you want to see in an entertaining basketball game. And we got that. We got that by the end of it. Let me cooks here. Let's see what Philly fans saying today. What's up, Raptor Freaks? Big game today. I hope Embiid plays like the MVP and we finally get over the second round hump. What are your thoughts on the Game 7 matchup? Listen, man, you guys should have won the last one. I'm sorry. That was your best chance. And this one, I'm scared for y'all. This is going to be a fight. This is going to be leave it all on the table or nothing. This is going to see what you guys are made of. I really worry about James. You need James to show up. If he can be more like that one game where he was Houston James, that would really help. I don't worry about Maxey. I know Maxey's going to come in correct and show up for you guys in a way that's going to be very helpful. Embiid could be very steady also. It's just they're going to have to get help from other people in other places. And, like I said earlier in the ref report, you've got one ref that favors you guys, and that's Bill Kennedy. The other 2 refs favor the Celtics, and the Celtics are at home. And, things like Marcus Smart is saying stuff like Coach Joe Mazzulla is learning, and he's smart, and he's figuring things out fast on the job, and he's not stubborn, and he's learning quickly. And that makes him happy because his coach is smart to learn fast as a rookie head coach. So I really want y'all to win. I am rooting for you guys heavily. But I have a feeling that they're going to beat you guys, and they're going to be playing Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I want Philly to win. Don't get me wrong. But this is going to be really hard for y'all. You're going to do it again in Boston like you did before. Yeah, that Boston crowd is not going to want to sit through a game like they did for Game 5 again. So they're going to really want those Celtics to step up and do something. Man, y'all had the chance. Oh, my gosh. I just wish y'all had won Game 6 in Philly. Seriously, I'm really worried for y'all. Seriously, I want y'all to win. Don't get me wrong, but I don't feel good about y'all winning. Let's just put it that way. Monique is here. Let's see. Monique is saying, blah, 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 blah. All right, hang on. Let me get to the right spot. Here we go. Everyone has started the Monty Williams to Toronto on the social medias. Okay, well, I'll have to go look at all that. In some ways, I mean, I'm not like over the thrilled about this. I don't know if he's the right one. It's an interesting idea. Maybe he is the right one. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do my research on this and figure it out. But right now, it's so new and fresh from last night, and I didn't really do any work last night. I was tired. I just fell asleep. So I'll have to go and research some more about the fit with Monty Williams coming here. Maybe he'll be the Thursday think tank this week. We'll have to see. All right, let's keep going. Cowboy is here. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Bam, bam, bam. Go WNBA. Let's go. Yes, Bradley. That's what I said yesterday. I said, let's go to the game and walk to the game. I walked there and back. And it was kind of fun. I mean, I did get a cab when I was getting it close. And I was having a hard time getting there and on time. But I walked most of the way there and most of the way back. And it was nice. It was nice to get out in the nice air and be around everybody. I saw some of my good friends at the game, said hi to them. And, just nice to be in the arena and have those vibes and see some basketball in the middle of, well, it's not really the middle of the summer, but hopefully we'll have some basketball in the Air Canada Center, Scotiabank Arena in the summer soon. I was really hoping they could expand it by next year so that we'd have a WNBA team next year. But this is what I think the timeline will be. It'll be basically like they'll assess very soon. And then, like, when they're done assessing, it could be sometime in the middle of the season. It could be sometime near the playoffs for this WNBA season. They'll announce we have decided we're going to expand to Toronto and Golden State, the Bay Area, and that we plan to have teams playing in these cities by 2025. So it could really be that they announce it during this season, the WNBA season. The next season is all planning and prepping and getting everything together, like logos, jerseys, integrating them into like the WNBA schedule for the next year, all that kind of stuff. But next year they won't play either, but then they'll be ready to play in the year of 2025. So that's what I'm going to guess is going to happen. I'm going to predict it right now that they'll announce that we have a WNBA expansion team coming sometime this season, if not near the playoffs. Maybe it may be really smart when they do it. They may do it around the All-Star break. They may do it near the playoffs, just to make it have more of an audience when they bring it out. And then there'll be 1 year of setting it up, and then they'll be playing in 2025. I think that's what's going to happen. Seriously. And we'll see if I'm right. Let's see. Mike is saying, you think Glenn Rivers could get fired if he gives up another 3-1 lead? I don't know. That's crazy to think about at the moment. Of course. Of course. I mean, this is what Philly fans are going to want. If they lose today, they are probably going to call for Glenn's head. They do this. They've done this before. They wanted him fired like a couple times in a couple years now. They're kind of tired of him. There's a residue of failure from him over the years that adds up to not just this latest failure if they lose today. And that's why Sixers fans will call for his head if they lose today. Trust me, they will. Because they look at the record. They look at the track record. How many times this has happened? And they're like, well, he may be the main reason, Doc Rivers, because this is just a pattern that has overwhelmingly happened to him many, many times. In fact, his stats for losing an elimination or games where he could eliminate the other team is really bad. Like, he just doesn't finish teams off. And that's no good. You get those first 3 wins, but where's that 4th win to close the series, Doc? Where is that? Where is that 4th win to close the series? And that's what a lot of people are wondering about with your coaching over the years, the decades. There's two decades you've been coaching, and this has kind of been in both. Let's see. Cool Cat's here. Good morning, Raptor Free Crew. Cool Cat was at the game yesterday, I believe. I'm pretty sure you were there. I think so. Cool Cat saying, Masai said there will be lots of losers to negotiate with. Coach's accountability on winning is popular. Raptors made it popular. Doc is next. Yeah, I think this is true. Seriously, people probably wouldn't test the waters or do this kind of stuff without kind of a Nick Nurse floating around in the water already. And like, well, we could switch Monty for Nick. Let's fire not Monty. Ooh, we could switch Budenholzer for Nick. Let's fire Budenholzer. You know, it's that kind of thinking right now. In fact, they may not be the only ones that are getting fired. There may be a couple of teams that are out already. Like, some people are talking about Tyronn Lue. You know, Tyronn Lue and the Clippers, I don't know how safe he is there. And the Phoenix Suns actually kind of want Tyronn Lue. He's on their short list, and they're trying to talk to him, even though he's technically still the Clippers head coach. I don't know. There may be some more people that actually are going to get dumped by teams that we don't realize. You know, if the Lakers lose to the Nuggets, there's still a chance Darvin Ham gets fired, but I don't think so. I think that he's actually done really well in the Lakers, and Milwaukee holding out to wait for Darvin Ham to get fired. Keep holding your breath. You may not get that, Milwaukee. It sounds like, you know, in some ways he may have turned on y'all. And he's like, I like living here with LeBron in LA, the prestige and my success. And he may be like, I don't want to go back to Milwaukee. It may be like that. Who knows? All right, let's keep going. Monique is saying, shout out Jelly Black. Happy Mother's Day to all the super moms. Yeah, happy Mother's Day. We can't put this on blast enough. And yeah, interesting halftime show. Jelly Black came in out there and killing it. Honestly, yeah, she had the crowd going crazy. A very, very strong performance with some nice dancers. And of course, Jelly has the infamy from changing the anthem earlier this year when she sang "Oh Canada," and really, really awesome new change to it. You know, that it signifies actually the truth. And some people maybe got upset with her and had some controversial things about how she changed the "Oh Canada." But in some ways, it's kind of just like the way it should be said because it's the truth. So yeah, you go, Jelly Black. So cool to see you hyping up the crowd and having a good time. People were dancing and having a good time. That's for sure. MSJ saying, Monty Williams for Raptors coach? I don't know, MSJ. Like I said, I'm gonna have to look into this a little bit closer and see if his style of coaching fits what we're trying to do, where we're at in our stage of things right now. He could be very good, in some ways. Who knows? Maybe he comes back and he brings Mutombo with him. Maybe Patrick Mutombo will be a coach on our team this year. After all, who knows? Wayne Stranger saying, "Go Celtics, go." Most of the other teams have senior citizens, so I'm going young. Celtics, I'm hoping get their ass beat by Kyle and Jimmy. Looking at Sergio, any word on him lately? Thanks, Wayne, for the comment. You want to see the Celtics get past this round just so they can get beat down by Miami. Wayne, listen, and we got the Celtics down 3 losses, and they can be eliminated in this game today. I'd like to just get them over and done with. In some ways, I'd like to see Philadelphia play the Miami Heat. That'd be more entertaining for me. In some ways, you like that storyline of Jimmy Butler playing against his old team, the Philadelphia 76ers, and Kyle Lowry, Philadelphia's native son, going up against his whole home team. Lowry loves beating Philly. Philly was a team that he consistently beat when he was a Toronto Raptor. Every regular season game, all the times that he played Philly, he usually kicked their ass. So, yeah, in some ways, if we want to see the Miami Heat get to the finals, Philadelphia is probably the better choice to get through this game today for them. If they have to play Boston, it may be a tougher test. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, okay. And then Sergio, yes, it was confirmed on May the 11th. I guess that was 3 days ago that Bobby and Masai were in Italy talking to Sergio about possibly taking our head coaching job. They said it was a very transparent meeting where they talked to him with the knowledge of the team that he currently coaches, knowing that he was getting interviewed. So no funny stuff. Not trying to poach your European coach Vitis Bologna, but we want to talk to him. We want to find out if this man is good for us to come back. One of our champion coaches was on our championship team. We'd like to see if maybe he'd like to come back and see if he'd like to coach us. So, I think Sergio would be pretty good, honestly, partly because he has such a familiarity with our team. He's also very successful over there, and basketball is basketball. Listen, in some ways, if you got a little Italian guy yelling at you and telling you what to do, you may listen to him more. I don't know. So I'm okay with them hiring Sergio. I think that Sergio would be fine. And I like the fact that they did fly all the way over there to see him. Mike's saying, I was thinking on the Grizzlies and their issues. I think Iggy not coming to play started something with the Grizzlies, like thinking vets are useless and turned up the disrespect over time. You're talking about Iguodala. I'm not totally sure what you mean when you say Iggy. You're probably saying Iguodala. I thought he was always with the Warriors this whole time. That's why you can't use nicknames, cute little nicknames. You just need to write out the whole name, because I think you mean Iguodala, but you may not. I don't know. I don't know who you mean. All right, let's see. I think it's true. The lack of veteran presence on the Grizzlies is a problem, but with the situation with John Morant, he's the franchise player. He's the best player on the team. In some ways, he's untouchable. No, it's hard to yell at the franchise player if you're another player and you make way less than them. And in some ways, they have more clout and standing in the team. It's almost like you got to let him just make his mistakes and mess up because it's kind of hard to get through to him. It's really kind of like if they had more veterans in the history of the Memphis Grizzlies that were very like Marc Gasol is kind of good, but he's kind of detached. I don't know if he's in Spain or somewhere else. He's nowhere near the team. He may fit for this. I mean, maybe Zach Randolph needs to come down there and say, hey, Ja, listen, bro, I'm proud of being a Memphis Grizzly from back in the day, and I need to talk to you real quick, bro. Let me Zebo come in here and talk to you real quick and set you straight on a couple of things. Maybe that's the kind of vet that needs to come back, alumni vet. It's kind of like if we had a knucklehead on our team, Charles Oakley, come and show up and tell him, you need to get your act together. If they had Michael Jordan in their history, if Michael came and talked to Ja and told him, like, stop doing this, he probably listened to him. But there's nobody in the history of the Grizzlies that fits this. I mean, the closest may be Randolph. Randolph may be the best person to go talk to him, but maybe it's not in his character kind of person that he is. I don't know. In some ways, we thought that they got to, he saw what he could have lost, but maybe he doesn't really understand that he could still lose it. He's an idiot. He's going to get whatever he gets. And he needs to watch out because he could lose his career over some of the dumbest stuff I've ever seen in my life. Some of the dumbest things. Now, people say, okay, Steven Adams is their vet, but he was hurt and he wasn't around. Maybe he's not the same kind of leader vet on the team. He's just a big physical guy, but he should be maybe the guy who's talking to him about this. I don't know who is going to do this. It's not going to be his father. T. Morant's part of the problem. It's not going to be his inner circle. They're the ones encouraging him and being a part of it. Obviously, you see him in the video with them riding around like, "Ooh, why isn't one of them who's kind of smart saying, Ja, dude, you just did this and you got in trouble this year. Like, seriously, bro, come on, stop." None of y'all are smart enough to tell your guy to stop and try and get their shit together. Or maybe you're just scared he'll kick you out. You say, "Oh, Ja, man, stop flashing the gun. You're get the fuck out of here. You're not with us anymore. You're out, bro." Whoa, see? That's how this happens. Everybody says yes to him. Nobody says no. And everybody's afraid to come and tell him the truth until heavy-handed Adam Silver comes down and says, "You know what? You're not playing in this league anymore because you're an idiot." That is going to happen. Nobody comes and gets through to him. It's going to happen that way. Fiercey's here. Good to see Fiercey Salsera. Good morning, family, and happy Mother's Day to the mamas. Yes, yes, happy Mother's Day all day, every day. Appreciate your mom. It doesn't have to be Mother's Day. Just appreciate your mom every day, but today especially. Yes. Cool Cat saying Ja does not compute what NBA requires for those big paychecks. Lots of young players causing headaches for the NBA teams. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, sometimes you're in the middle of it. You don't realize how good you got it until it's all taken away from you. John Morant, you really want to find out how good you got it until it's all taken away from you, because that's where you're heading. Seriously, this is not cool, man. The gun culture in the United States is out of control and messed up. There's people being shot every single day. You're riding around like thinking it's funny to hold a gun up and wave it around in your car when they've already warned you about this. Seriously, there are people getting shot in malls, people getting shot out in public in just really crazy ways. Yeah, you need to check yourself because you're a role model. Once again, little kids look up to you just as much as the little kids were looking up to the WNBA players here in Toronto yesterday. They look up to you too. And learned behavior can be learned from seeing people doing this. So you want to make it okay and be like, yeah, you can be in the NBA and live this life. No, don't teach that to kids. They don't need to know that. There's a very, very strong force in the NBA that has kept this separated. Like any kind of like gangsterism and stuff around the players, they've hidden it if there has been this kind of stuff, or players have been smart enough to just not do this. Maybe this is just a sign of the social media age that people are putting so much of their private lives out there. Maybe there were guys like this, but they didn't have social media to put this on blast. Well, this is a new world and you need to navigate it better, John Morant, because you're going to lose your NBA career if you don't stop doing stupid shit like this. I'm serious. You will. You will. All right, let's keep going. Cool Cat is, yeah, all right, hang on. Canadian Cowboys saying big ups to all the mothers. Happy Mother's Day. Let's go. That's right. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Cool Cat saying, I think Nick Nurse is waiting for the Lakers coaching job. Well, he may be waiting a long time and he may not be getting it. I'm serious. All the insiders with the Lakers are very happy with Darvin Ham. We're hearing different stuff. Now, with all the messed up things they've had gone with their coach in the last 5-10 years, they got the right one and it's actually working and fitting. They're not going to try and switch this out. So this may mess up Milwaukee's plans to reacquire Darvin Ham. This may mess up Nick Nurse's plans to slide right in with Clutch and take that job and be coaching LeBron next season. So I hope so. In some ways, I want Darvin Ham to not get fired and hang around with the Lakers just to piss off people that are thinking he's going to come to Milwaukee and piss off Nick Nurse because he thinks he can coach the Lakers next season. So, and Magic Johnson's giving him his seal of approval. That's one of the most important people you need to hear about how they feel about, the coach and the Lakers and how they're doing is Magic. And Magic is saying Coach Darvin Ham has done such a good job, and I think we need to keep him. That is officially what Magic has said. So we'll have to see what happens with the Lakers. I think they've gotten far enough now because they're getting to the Western Conference Finals that Darvin Ham is safe. They'd be stupid to fire him in some ways because he's really overachieved and gotten them somewhere farther than they should have. It would look weird if they fired Darvin Ham. In fact, I think that Lakers fans love him now at this point. So it may be at this point where it's just not possible. The Laker fans will really get pissed off if they fire the first good coach that they've had in all these years. That may really piss people off in LA. So they're in a bad situation. If Nick's waiting for that job, he may be waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and not happening. I'm going to predict right now they're not going to fire Darvin Ham because of them getting to the Western Conference Finals. Fiercely saying, if Nurse goes to Phoenix, do you think Fred will follow? The firing of Coach Monty baffled me. Pretty sure it's because of the eliminations 2 years in a row. Glad our front office is taking their time. Like I said, Phoenix has had some failures in the playoffs the last few years. They play at a high level during the regular season. They get one of the best records usually. And then in the playoffs, at some point, there's a communication breakdown. Somebody stops playing hard, usually DeAndre Ayton. And then Coach Williams finds his way to the exit. Like the way they lost to Denver was humiliating. Seriously, that's part of it also. Like if like that may be part of why we fired Nick is because the way we lost in the play-in was so humiliating and stupid. We were up by 19 at home and we lost a do or die game. Well, that's not a good sign for a coach doing a good job. And boom, you're fired. Okay, well then look at what happened with Budenholzer. He lost in the first round to the 8th seed as a number 1 seed, and it was really pathetic and it was humiliating. That boom, you get fired. Well, what happened with Monty Williams? He got fired after being down by 30 at halftime in an elimination game to Denver. The way they lost that last game may have put the nail in the coffin for him. If they had lost in a competitive game where it was very close by like 1 or 2 points, he may not be fired right now. But the fact that his team rolled over and died like very early in the first half in the elimination game, that just proves that like that's not a good coach for them anymore. So in some ways, it's the way they went out that contributed to the reasons why these 3 coaches are unemployed right now. So, oh my gosh, it's just so crazy. I mean, it makes sense because Monty has failed. What was it, Luka last year? This year is Jokic. Yeah, these guys are putting them out, and they're not getting as far as they should. In some ways, it's not fair to Monty Williams. There's a stat that says he only coached Kevin Durant 8 regular season games this year. But it's not about being fair. Some of it's optics. Some of it's just like seeing, okay, this is the vibe on the team. Some of it is like maybe problems with people on the team. Like we know Ayton and Monty Williams had a problem. And maybe it seems like maybe they're choosing Ayton. And that's why they fired their coach. Because they're like, well, maybe we will keep Ayton. And maybe he'll be able to work with the next coach instead. Or it could be like Nick lost the players. And then what can you do from that? You got to get rid of them. It's just how it is. And I'm glad they're taking their time too, because obviously the landscape's shifting week by week with people going out in the playoffs, just like we said, and things are changing. Now Monty Williams is available as a coach. So they got to wait. They got to wait and see how this all goes down. It's going to be very interesting. G saying LeBron, as much as I do not personally like him, managed to have an amazing career without the drama and issues for the league. They made money for each other. I think the league was hoping Ja was next. This is very true. And this is something I can give LeBron very strong kudos for. He is a great, great role model in so many different ways. And I appreciate him for that. In some ways, people are right. They need to put him on more on blast for that kind of stuff. It's just some of the other stuff that really annoys me, like him anointing himself king and the whole way he acted about like taking the scoring title from Kareem was kind of messed up. And like there's, if him saying he has to say he's the greatest, that's never good. And all the old head vets that really know the NBA are telling him is like, dude, don't say that you have to say you're the greatest. That doesn't mean you're the greatest. The greatest don't say they're the greatest. Everybody else says they're greatest. And you don't say that you're the greatest. That's not what Michael did. Michael didn't have to go around saying he was the greatest. Other people said he was the greatest for him. And that's the thing LeBron's not getting. Is that sometimes he toots his own horn and it comes off really bad and egotistical. In some ways, people say, well, he's earned it. Yeah, but he shouldn't have to say it himself. He'd come off way, way better if he let everybody else say it for him instead of him putting it out there himself. It's that kind of thing with it. Let's see. But yeah, I agree. LeBron's been fantastic. I don't know if they thought Ja was going to be like the next LeBron, though. I think because he's a high flying star and stuff like that. That's the other thing. I don't think he's long for this league for a couple reasons. Whether it's his being a gangster in his private life, or it's the high flying way that he plays. He could very much get a career ending injury very early in his career just because of the way he plays. So he may not be long for this NBA one way or another. Whether he does get past his stupid idiot cosplay that he's doing, or he may get hurt just because his style of play is very dangerous, and it does cater to getting a lot of injuries over and over again. So we'll have to see. Nameless is saying, gee, hopefully Scotty Barnes can be that guy. Certainly has the wherewithal to do so. Man, that would be awesome. I mean, who knows? We have to see what happens with Scotty. I just hope that he's working really, really hard. We see some more muscle put on him, more size, more wisdom, just more smarts, and just grinding this summer, Scott. We know you're not grinding on Twitch anymore. You don't care about that 2K character, hopefully. And you're more worried about your real life character, yourself, and honing and getting better and better this summer. Because they say a lot of the work for the season is done right now in the postseason, in the off season. That's where you get your gains. So it's like you got to do the work now, Scott, and it'll look better in the fall for you. I know you're going to get there. Cool Cat saying, I was looking at the movement without the ball, the type of plays used. That's why I watch a lot of WNBA games. Yeah. Yeah. It's very much more of a team game. It's a more pure form of basketball in some ways. There's a lot less one on one. And, I like some of the stuff that I really like is the transition layups, like trying to get around people. I was like hoping some of the players would do more fakes because it seemed like they would go right up and they just get blocked or stopped. There's all kinds of different things. Some of it wasn't very pretty. There were some really ugly turnovers. They were just like not very careless with the ball at times. But it is preseason. We got to remember, just like in the NBA, you got to have preseason games to warm up and get ready for the regular season. So that's where the Lynx and the Sky are preseason. They're honing things, getting things set up for Friday when they meet again in Minnesota for the first game of the WNBA season for them. So that's a big part of it, is that it's preseason. They've only had a couple games and they've all just gotten back together, and they're working out the kinks of not being together for a while. But yeah, I loved the game yesterday. It got more and more exciting as the game went. In the beginning was a little ugly, but it did get way, way better. And you're right about the ball movement and moving around and all that kind of stuff. They tighten up the passes, and it would have looked a lot prettier in some ways. G saying, nameless. Scotty has all the makings for it: talent, swag, and personality. Yeah. Some ways that's part of the reason why they tried to direct Jalen Suggs to us, and they wanted Orlando to get Scotty Barnes, is that they wanted to start marketing him in that kind of way for Orlando. But because he's in Toronto, that kind of like in some ways it makes it harder for them. They don't want him to be an economic driver here in Canada. I don't know, whatever reason, but Scotty could be this guy. And let's try and make him that here in Toronto, no matter what. In Canada, he could be huge, and he'll be huge in the States also, just like Vince was. They have an undeniable talent and charisma that people will just buy into and be attracted to anyway, whether he plays in Canada or not. So that's what I'm hoping for him. And that he doesn't buy this bullshit that he can be an even bigger star down in the States. You can do it here. And if you make it here, you can make it anywhere. They say that about New York. I'm going to say that about Toronto, seriously. Because if you make it here, you make it right across this country and a lot of the world. And in the States, important people like you too. All right, let's keep going. Mike saying Masai has a hand. Oh man, why does it jump like that right when I'm about to read it? All right, let's see. Masai has a hand on the shaping of our guys as players, but really shaping men is what pushes him. So we're solid with off-court stuff being the non-issue. Yeah, don't worry about any Ja Morant kind of stuff here. First of all, in some ways, I don't think they even bring these kind of guys here. And some people say, well, maybe you need more kind of guys like that. They're kind of have an edge. But I'm like, also, these kind of headaches, they can really blow up in your face. So, you can be depending on Ja Morant all season, and then the playoffs come around and you can't see him anymore because of something stupid that he did. He can't be in the game to play anymore. That you don't want to depend on your top player being like flaky like that, where it's not even things that he may do or him being healthy. He could be in jail all of a sudden, and you're not able to have him out for the game. Yeah, I don't want to depend on somebody like that. He could play really good all season, and then boom, he does something knuckleheaded at the end of the season, celebrating, run around with a gun, and then boom, you don't have him available for playoff games all of a sudden because he's suspended or something like that. You don't want to, if you depend on that kind of character, that character will let you down, is what I'm saying. In fact, he wasn't available for part of this playoff for different. I know he got hurt, but that's what I'm saying. He's in some ways you want somebody dependable, and off court stuff being a distraction and problem, that's not dependable. That's not dependable. Cowboys saying, I agree, G. Scotty will be a monster. I hope that he does get more and more in this role. I really, really do. It's developing. It's happening. He's getting a little bit of golden boy treatment on the whole NBA level, and there's nothing wrong with that. He actually is earning it to a degree here and there. Name was saying he has the wherewithal. Exactly, G. Would really shine in a spotlight on us too. That's what I'm saying. Vince started to do this for us, but it was really dumb. Like Vince didn't cherish it or want to do it for us, and that's part of the thing that sucks. I really hope Scotty's not like Vince, and that this is shallow and hollow. That I want him to like not just go through the motions, really buy into it and really do it, Scott. Because honestly, seriously, Vince Carter could have been like Kawhi and been like a very, very part of Canadian culture and fabric in some crazy big ways. But both those guys have kind of turned their back on it. And you don't need to do that. Seriously, embrace it, and you'll see feelings like Serge had last night at the WNBA game. You will have that forever and in a huge way. Seriously, Scott. So don't take that lightly. I know that you really do love this country and you love Toronto. So keep going in that direction. I feel like you're a real one, and you're not going to be like Vince at some point and say, yeah, I'm going to go play for New Jersey or something stupid like that. Let's see. Cool Cat is saying, I don't want Monty for our coach. Him and Aiton's issues. We don't want another Nick Nurse episode. Yeah, I don't know what the issues are exactly. Are the problems with Aiton more? And the Monty is just like not happy with him because he's lazy. I don't know exactly what those issues are. I mean, if Monty has any kind of Nick Nurse kind of things with freezing guys out, not playing them, some of the way he's substituting in the playoffs recently, I didn't totally agree with. I felt like he could have played some of his bench guys more or utilized some of those roles more. So maybe there is a little bit of Nick Nurse and Monty Williams. I don't know. But Cool Cat's not for Monty if he's anything like Nick Nurse. And I can understand that. That makes total sense. Monique is saying, time to update your spreadsheet. Honestly, we can get anyone. No JJ, though. Next Scarborough Shooting Stars, by the way. Shout out to Kia's sister. Kia's game is going to be on TSN. All right, Monique with a lot of stuff there. Yeah, I'm going to have to put at least Monty on the spreadsheet. I haven't heard any other new names otherwise. So now CBL stuff coming up. Monique's letting us know what's next on the docket. Now the WNBA game has happened yesterday. CBL, Shooting Stars, Scarborough. We'll have to check that out. And you're talking about Kia Nurse's sister. Okay. I'm not even totally sure about what's going on there. I did see that they had like Team Canada women's team there hanging out and seeing the WNBA players. That was really cool yesterday to see that they're bringing in the national team for women's basketball for Canada. Was at the game yesterday and being around the WNBA game. Let Me Cook saying Boston are 6.5 point favorites going into the game. Vegas is thinking like you. Sixers needed that game 6. I'm still confident, but definitely isn't going to be a cakewalk. Listen, if y'all can do it, I'm going to be I'll be so excited for y'all. Seriously, it'll be like the A team. It'll be like dun, 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 dun. You're gonna need that. Seriously, you're gonna need B.A. Baracus and PJ Tucker to be B.A. Baracus down there, and Hannibal Smith is James Harden, and Face Man will be Tyrese Maxey, and then Howlin' Mad Murdoch is Joel Embiid today. You need the A team. You need that kind of like ingenuity and coming in there and like kicking some butt, because this is going to be tough. This is going to be tough, but I really am rooting for y'all, and I hope you guys have huge success today. Seriously, Scott Foster is not your friend, though. Trust me, Scott Foster is not your friend. Dealing with Scott Foster. Yeah, we know about it too in Denver. And Bill Kennedy is your friend, though. So really be nice to Bill Kennedy. But those other two are not going to be nice to you. Trust me. Eric Lewis, nope. Scott Foster, nope. They're going to be nasty to the Sixers today, unfortunately. MSJ saying, if Doc Rivers loses tonight, how can they keep him? And Cool Cat, I sort of think Ayton is the issue, not Monty. What about Doc Rivers, though? My opinion is any decent coach will give us a fresh start. We want somebody who knows how to do the job. We don't want somebody who like is starting green, like a JJ Redick. We don't really want somebody who doesn't have any respect with the refs. We talked about that a lot in recent weeks. That, we want somebody established who has relationships with the referees so that we're not getting some sort of weird rookie coach like shading. It has a double effect when you're Toronto. So it's like when you hire somebody like Jay Triano, when we did, like out of the blue, and he really didn't like have any NBA head coaching experience, they treated him really badly, and we got bad calls. Even that's what we don't want. That's why one of these known names is actually way more attractive. You go get Monty, you go get Budenholzer, you are going to have a respect already built into the coach that you don't have to acquire over time by trial and error. And in some ways, that is something I want to try and avoid. If we want to try and not miss a beat and continue to win in development, we're going to need to get somebody that's like that. That's why somebody like Charles Lee or JJ Redick is not necessarily the right choice, because they have to earn respect in those ways. So, yeah, Doc Rivers has that respect, but then why? Well, in some ways, it's like, all right, we didn't get in this relationship with the coach when you know down the road what the end game is. You hire Doc, and sure, he does good things. He runs the team really well. He gets a certain place, but we know he has a track record for failure at the highest level. Then why do we want him? Because at some point we know that he's just going to hit a wall where he's going to fail. And that would be part of the reason why I wouldn't want to even start with him. Seriously, if he already has a track record of failure in these kind of ways, if he fails today, it may be that like not many people want him in the NBA. At a certain point, you have a shelf life. You're like, sure, yeah, he's done this, he's been good at this, but you know what? He's had a long career, and maybe he's done. If Philly fires him tomorrow because they lost today, yeah, he may not be coaching ever again, or he could be picked up by somebody. You're probably right. He will get picked up, but I wouldn't want to chance it just because you put in the time and invest him, and then all of a sudden you get to a position where the Sixers are right now. And you're like, fuck, why do we have our coach as Doc Rivers? It can be like that. Seriously. Cool Cat saying, yeah, I was at the game. WNBA underestimated the Canadian market by halftime. The store, everything sold out. How could they not have inventory? Poor management. That's what I heard. Every single WNBA product in the building sold out. They bought everything. This is exactly what they needed to do. And they'd be idiots not to expand into our market and give us an NBA team, a WNBA team. I saw this thing is really cool. It's on TSN. It's on Twitter from TSN's account, and they are asking people at the game yesterday, what would you name the team if Toronto joined the WNBA? And there's all these little kids saying, and the first person saying that they would call them the Toronto Triceratops. And that is what I had said. I said, but I didn't say Triceratops exactly. I said Tritops. Get rid of the Sarah in the middle and just call them the Tritops. And I feel like that would be a good name. But the very first suggestion by the fan is the Triceratops. And then we've got somebody who comes in. He's saying that it has to be a dinosaur theme. Then we got some people coming in. Toronto Tigers, Toronto Dactyls, Toronto Cheetahs, Mamba mentality. They want Toronto Towers, Toronto Tings, Toronto Tramplers, Toronto Huskies. Some people like the Huskies. Runners, another Towers, Tornadoes, more Huskies, Toronto Bananas. What? Oranges? What? Huskies, Toronto Skyline, Toronto Huskies, Toronto Six, the Six, Toronto Six. People are saying the Six. Toronto Sky. Well, that's just Chicago Sky. Yeah, so Lady Goats, the Toronto Lady Goats. What? Okay, so those were some of the suggestions. I like the first one. The first one makes sense to me. Triceratops or Tritops. We had a couple of suggestions from the crowd yesterday at the WNBA game for what the Toronto expansion team could be called. It seems like the top names were Towers, Huskies, and Six. That was what a lot of people were saying. Very interesting. But yeah, that's dumb. They should have realized they're going to make some money yesterday and bring the whole bunch of stuff, swag, like crazy swag all over the place. Everybody's wearing orange. Yeah, they should have brought way more materials and stuff. They could have made a mint. They could have made a mint yesterday. Nameless is saying, if we can add another hidden talent this draft with Barnes and Koloko, that is the beginning and basis of a young, talented core that would rival any others in the league. Yeah, I like that. Grady Dick. I don't know. We'll see who we draft this summer. G saying, my top choices are Sergio, Becky or Stack, Patrick Mutombo, and Jordy Fernandez. So that is the list for G right now in our coaching search. He really likes the idea of bringing back Scarlioli. And I can't disagree. He's not bad. He's in my top 5, but I don't know if he's in the top part of my top 5. I'm still very, very high on Becky Hammond, Jerry Stackhouse, Coach Budenholzer, Sergio, and maybe, I mean, now Monty, I guess. I mean, I really do want to get those creme de la creme, like top names, a good chance. That we should very much consider Budenholzer and Monty above a lot of other people just because of the level of success that they've had in recent years. It just would make sense. And in some ways, they could come in with a fresh approach, and they've already been in the league. They know all the landscape of things. They really are high candidates, Budenholzer and Williams. Mike is saying Lowry revenge is something I would love to see. The bubble hurt Lowry, revenge time. Yeah, you okay? So you want to see them play the Boston Celtics just to get revenge for Lowry on the Celtics bubbles series with Toronto? Yeah. I mean, I guess in some ways I really do like the Jimmy Butler revenge against Philadelphia instead. Because in some ways he was on that team and it means more. And Philly means a lot to Lowry. Trust me, they really, really do. We'll just have to see how it all goes down today, and we'll see who survives after game 7 this afternoon. Oh my gosh. Cool Cat saying at Nameless, our young core so far is Barnes, Coloco, Precious, and Delano. Yeah. Yeah. I like those names. And there's we've got a couple other guys that could be in that mix still that we're talking about. Cool Cat saying, I kept saying bring back Sergio as our head coach, winning coach. Yeah. Well, if that's what they decide, if they feel like that's the best fit. It could be that Sergio also, once again, just like Jerry and Becky, are in a very good situation, and he may not want to mess that up. That's the other problem. See, Becky Hammond coached last night for the Las Vegas Aces and won her preseason game last night. So she has a job already. Jerry Stackhouse is at Vanderbilt. He's got a job already. Sergio's got a job in Europe for a couple teams. So it's like they have to kind of drop everything from what they're doing and come here to Toronto to do this. In some ways, it's a leap of faith. In some ways, it's a risk. And they may be already in good situations where they're like, I enjoy winning and doing this. So that's part of the problem with some of these candidates is they have very attractive situations they're already in, and they may not want to leave them. That's a big part. And Sergio's on that list. I think Jerry and Becky and Sergio, all three have that in common. Mike's saying Andre Iguodala was traded to the Grizzlies but didn't report and forced his way to Miami. That's right. I do remember that now. See, I don't remember Iguodala being in Memphis for too long, but I do remember this story now that you bring it. Andre Iguodala said he wanted a team that had a chance and reported his ass job on it, and then it started. Oh, man. It's such a mess. I mean, Iguodala is more happy and comfortable in Golden State, obviously, anyway. I don't know. See, this is the thing. The league needs to start understanding these vets are important. And, don't start early retiring some of these guys that need to be around still to teach the youngsters. You guys can overdo it with the rookie contracts, and maybe it's a money saving thing. You just like, I don't want to pay these older guys stuff. And you keep bringing in young guys continually to save money. It's really dumb. You need to invest in veterans if you really want to win an NBA championship. You can look at the 4 teams that are left, and they have very strong veteran contingencies on all of the teams that are left right now. There's 5 teams still, I should say 5, but there'll be 4 after today. Cowboys saying, don't forget Ron Harper Jr. Cool Cat. Yeah, maybe Ron. We'll see what level he gets to and how he contributes. Hopefully he'll be a part of our end of the bench and play way more and maybe part of the rotation. I don't know. We'll have to see. Cool Cat saying young players on the Warriors are also complaining. Also, Samson Folk confirmed that Scotty and OG have issues with Fred. Young players don't want to wait. Nature of the demographics show up in the NBA too. Interesting. In some ways, I think this is folly of the youngsters in some ways. If you're really smart, you do listen to the older players. Now, you're saying Samson actually confirmed that Scotty and OG have issues with Fred? That sucks. I don't like hearing that, especially since OG and Fred should be pretty cool from the years together and stuff like that. If there's any kind of weird divide, partly because of Fred or something like that, in different ways, these guys need to get over this shit and really start respecting and listening to each other. I get this. Young people are mad because the world's all messed up and they feel like the older people have done a disservice to them. In some ways, they don't trust them. I get it. I get that. But you need to learn to trust some of these old heads. It'll serve you way, way better because it'll get you further in your career. And that's how wisdom is passed down. So it's like young people that just feel like they know everything. Seriously, y'all need to listen and just be a little bit more open minded. Now, it's up to you whether you want to take advice or not, but you should still be listening to older people and how they're trying to teach you. If you don't want to take their advice and learn for yourself, that's fine. But you can't shut them out or you can't have this kind of stuff. That's disappointing to me. Because honestly, in some ways, that goes against what Scotty is. A team player is supposed to be team first and staying together. Well, you need to respect the seniority on the team and the people that are there before you because they do know more than you, Scott. Don't act like they that you know more than them because you don't. You do not know more than Fred. Fred has been in the finals and you have not. So in some ways they need to respect him. Now, OG, if he's really does have a problem, like seriously, that doesn't make sense to me completely. Because if they have a problem with each other, why are they doing Gillette commercials? Like if OG really didn't like Fred, he was like, "Don't put me in this commercial with Fred. I don't want to be in this commercial with Fred. I want my own commercial on my own." So in some ways, I mean, I respect and I really do believe Samson Folk when he says stuff, but in some ways, is this like blowing up something a little bit more than it is? Because I've also seen like OG and Fred be very close still, and the way they talk about each other. So I don't totally believe this. Now, if this is true, and Fred is in the Phoenix Suns jersey next year and with Nick Nurse coaching him, well, then problem solved if that is actually a problem. But yeah, it is whatever it is. Listen, there's always something you can learn from everybody. It doesn't matter if you're young or old. And this the young people need to realize this, but the old people do too. You can learn from the young people just as much as they can learn from you. And that's one thing as an old person I know myself is I'm always learning from young people, and I'm not so close-minded that I'm an old dog that can't learn new tricks. Well, if I'm an old dog doing that with young people, you damn for sure need to listen to old people too. So it's just not a bad skill. It's just not a good life skill to have if you're just shutting out voices that are trying to help you. That's not a good way to be. Nameless is saying, laugh out loud, little Italian guy yelling at you. It's funny because they're all so little. Well, it'll be funny to see Sergio back around. And like, who knows? Like, he could be cussing in Italian during the games. Maybe the refs don't know. Uh, you know, I think he'd be fine. I mean, he did really good that one game he coached us in the COVID year. And he's definitely a part of our franchise and knows everybody. And so it wouldn't be like a weird fit in that way. In fact, he knows these players, a lot of them also. So it's really good. Name is saying, I'm scared of anybody under 6 foot tall. Who knows what they're capable of? This is saying, well, let's not generalize people. Let's not get upset about old people. Let's not get upset about short people, young people, tall people. Who cares? Wayne said the fact that Bobby and Masai flew to see Sergio is a big tell. They didn't do Zoom like some of the other candidates, so I'm thinking he's at the top of the list. We need to get that pedigree winning DNA. In some ways, maybe they wanted a vacation. I joked about that. It's like they just wanted to get out of the country for a little bit, maybe get a little time in Europe just for a second. Although they were only there for like a day or so, so it's not like they took a lot of time. I mean, they flew right before this game, and they obviously had to be there yesterday, and they were in full effect, which was awesome. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right. This does signal something of more importance because they actually took the effort to fly over there to see him. Cool Cat saying corporate culture is now entering the NBA with these new owners. They want winning for their money invested in brand. Accountability is key. Even Masai said he will be more hands-on. Micromanage is on. Yeah. 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 I mean, and I'm glad Masai will do this. In some ways he let Nick just run autonomous, and that ran his coaching career with us to the ground, which is too bad. It may not be as micromanaging as you think. It may be just like kind of like having check-ins and talking and kind of like maybe talking about the vibe and how things are going with the team. Maybe a little bit more like often, like where there's a Masai with the coach meeting and just kind of like checking where are we right now with this and this situation with this and this road trip coming up, or how's the development going with Coloco on this. It could be very simple, like very general kind of things, and not as so specific and like really breathing down your throat kind of like back kind of thing. It's kind of more like, all right, we're just checking in, seeing how you're doing. Do you have anything you need? Or how's the vibe between the coaches? How's the vibe between the coaches and the players? How's the vibe between the players? That kind of stuff. Because it seems like he didn't keep track of that last season, and it spiraled out of control and got worse and worse. So it may be that instead of like waiting a whole season to just kind of be a dumpster fire and kind of be mid, he's going to try and mess it up in the middle when it starts to happen and stop it instead of just letting, okay, Nick will figure this out during the season. That's how I read it more. It's not really that he wants to be more controlling, is he needs to babysit it and make sure that it's all kind of moving in the right direction positively. And if it isn't, then he may make a change. It could, who knows? He could have fired maybe one of the assistant coaches in the middle of the season if he knew how bad things were with connection and how people were feeling on the team. So who knows? He may have made an adjustment in the middle of season, and that may have helped things right our season in the middle of it. But he didn't realize how bad it was. I think that's how I take it. Cool Cat saying Ja not voted MVP is a sign of the NBA is moving on. Yes, that's the thing he's got to realize. You know, you want to play with guns, you're not going to get money. You're not going to get endorsements. You're not going to get accolades, and you will get ignored. In fact, they will listen. You can know the stories of Richard Dumas. You can know the stories of Roy Tarpley. You can know the stories of Michael Ray Richardson. Trust me, Ja, they will get rid of very talented players and say you're not coming back if you're an issue. And if you want that, you can go ahead and get it. You keep flashing guns on IG, yeah, you're going to get that. You're going to get that Roy Tarpley, you're suspended for 3 years. You're going to get that lifetime ban from the NBA that Michael Ray Richardson got at a certain point. Yeah, you want that kind of shit, you go ahead and go get it. You can go ask those old pros that got blackballed and sent right out of the league. They were very talented players, and they could have been all-stars, but the league didn't want them because there were black eyes and a problem in the league. So you can be that. If you want to be the new generation of that, the new version of that, John Morant, you go ahead and keep going the way you're going. Yeah, you'll go the way of Michael Ray Richardson. Yes, you will. If you want that, you will get it. You will get that. That's right. Nameless is saying, I bet the Raptors draft a pure scorer. Then you've got a power forward, a defensive anchor, and a pure shooter, all under 21 years old. I like that. Scoring, shooting, yes. These are on the grocery list for this summer. We need those, yes. Mike's saying draft lottery coming up. That's right. In 2 days, Tuesday is the draft lottery. We'll know the Raptors pick in the first round by Tuesday night, and we will be talking about it on Wednesday. Trust me, that will be the topic on Wednesday is the draft lottery. Tomorrow we're doing a Monday memory, and then Tuesday trivia on Tuesday. And then Wednesday we'll be reacting to the draft lottery. That is something I've already scheduled up for this week coming up. Monique's talking about Vince Carter dunking in an Instagram post that he did recently at 46. Yeah, this man's just a year younger than me, and he's getting up there and throwing it down. That's crazy. Hey, you know, this is the thing. You know, if you take good care of your body and you eat right and you're healthy, you can have good athleticism late in life. You know, I'm pushing 50. But if you put me on the court, you will be surprised how much bounce I've got and how much agility I still have. I don't have messed up knees or ankles, and I can still play even at 47, not like an old man. I can actually get up and get around, and I have very good mobility and quickness still. So, you know, you take care of your body well, you can still play. Trust me, you can still play. And Vince, yeah, him throwing it down, having that athleticism, it's nice to see. Nameless is saying Raptors are about to draft the best 6'7" pure scorer you've ever seen at that selection. Okay. I like that prediction. I hope you're right. I don't know if you know the name. You can tell me maybe. Cool Cat saying Scotty could become a global star in the NBA if he allows Masai to continue to develop him. Believe in Masai, Scotty. Well, we know their connection is very strong. They love each other, as we saw at the All-Star break. And you know that is a really good sign that as Masai is really doting on Scotty and saying, you're our franchise guy. You're the guy that matters the most to us in a lot of ways. And stick with us, Scotty, and we will take you very far. You will take us far also. So yeah, I believe in Masai. I believe in Scotty, and Scotty, you need to believe in Masai. I think you do. MSJ saying, I agree. No to Doc. I really think Stackhouse could be someone. But a safe move like Monty or Bud could give us the good season we really need next year. Not a chip, but 10 more wins would be good. Yes, that's really what I want too. I mean, they could get a chip. Who knows? Let's not limit them. But that's kind of what I want. 10 more wins at least. We got 41 this year. We need 50 wins in the season coming up. That would be fantastic, especially with the parity in the league now. It seems like it's here to stay. It's weird listening to Steve Kerr and the Warriors talk about their season. after it's ended to the Lakers just now. It sounds like they went through a lot of the same stuff we went through this season. It was a very kind of like just listless, and this is a team that Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, that's a championship team. And even they had trouble with this parity this year, where they had trouble with their identity and figuring out who they were, and all kinds of the same issues the Raptors went through, the Warriors went through this season also. Listening to Steve Kerr describe how this season was, I was like, holy crap, this may have been a phenomena that happened to many franchises in the league this year with the new rules, the new parity, the new evening out of everything across boards. Well, there were some teams that had trouble finding their identities, and the Warriors and the Raptors were two of them. It was very, very interesting. Let's keep going. Stillman's here. Good to see Stillman 65. Missed you, man. Good to see you checking in. The Toronto Cool Cats for the Sabertooth Tiger. I like that. Let's name the Toronto NBA team after one of our greatest Raptor freaks, Cool Cat, and just call them the Toronto Cool Cats. I like that. I really do like that, actually. That has a nice ring to it. That'd be awesome if they named the team Cool Cats. I'm like that. And the saber-tooth tiger would be the thing. And that ties in the dinosaur Jurassic kind of period in with it, because you'll have like the long-tooth tiger instead of like the normal tiger from now. That kind of goes in with that. That's not a bad idea, Stillman. Not a bad one at all. Nameless is saying crazy, Monique. Absolutely insane. What a freak. He should be here in the chat with the rest of us. You're talking about Vince Carter? Yeah, maybe you should be in this chat with us. Cool Cat saying Doc Rivers' next team is Detroit Pistons. That could happen. I could see that maybe. I don't know. Doc working for Dwayne? That may be weird. Dwayne's yelling at Doc, and Doc's like, I'm trying, Dwayne. It's like, oh, what are you doing, Doc? Come on. We've been in this league for so long. What are you doing? That'd be weird. I don't know. I don't know if Doc's going to get fired. First of all, let's just see how things go today. Hopefully Philly wins and his job is just safe. Let's just hope and pray. Oh my gosh. G saying Fred posted OG's all-team defense. Fred posted Scotty and Scotty posted Fred. I'm having a hard time believing this, to be honest. I need to see it to believe it. I know. And I don't even know. Like Cool Cat's saying that Sampson's alluded to this or said this. I don't know. See, I see Scotty putting Fred on blast, and I know Fred put Scotty on blast too. So I don't totally buy that. And the stuff with OG doesn't totally make sense to me either. The way that they talk about the old core of Pirtle and Siakam and OG and Fred, it sounds like they're all fine with each other, that they've been together for so long that they're good. I mean, if they're annoyed with Fred for certain reasons, like maybe little things, I don't know. I don't get it. I just don't get it. If this is part of the thing where this thing with the fan nation going crazy about hating Fred right now has kind of caused some sort of weird, like second thoughts by OG and Scotty, that would be pissing me off. Like seriously, players do not need to listen to the popular opinions of the Raptors nation because they're stupid. And there's a lot of dumb stuff being said about Fred this whole entire season. Don't make something into nothing, nothing into something by listening to idiot fans slandering Fred all season, Scotty. Seriously, if you heard any of that kind of stuff, and then you're like, whoa, wait a second, Fred is doing that on our team, and that tainted how you thought about it or looked at it, don't listen to us. Seriously. You don't even listen to me. Don't listen to any of the fans like Fred does, because we're not helpful. Trust me. I may be helpful sometimes, and you may enjoy listening to me, and I'm positive, but don't listen to the fans. Seriously, none of us. We have nothing good to give to you. And if it's perceptions of Fred that you're getting passed on from Fred haters, and that's causing part of this, that's really, really bad. No, don't. Just believe in Fred, trust your captain, and know that he's trying to do what he's trying to do for the best for the team. And realize that. Don't buy into this bullshit. Don't buy into it. Yeah. All right, let's keep going with the comments. Let's see. Where am I? Okay, Nameless is saying Toronto Tri-Tops, aka the Tops. Toronto Towers, aka the Tower. The Huskies, if you can, having the opportunity to finally pay homage is enticing. Well, I have a problem with the Huskies name two ways. First of all, Huskies is UConn Huskies, and that is one of the biggest, toughest teams in the college basketball. Like the UConn Huskies women's team has always been a powerhouse, And don't they have a team in Yukon right now or in Connecticut that is kind of like that, like motif already in the WNBA? For some reason, I feel like there is a team already around that area because they really try and capitalize on the fervor for women's basketball in that area. Wasn't there Connecticut Sun? Okay, they're called the Sun. See, that's the other thing. Some people were saying we should be the Toronto Sky. I was like, well, Chicago has that name already. And in some ways, you don't want to have anything kind of duplicitous with any of the existing WNBA teams. So, all right. So you're saying tri tops. I like the tri tops, and especially because you can shorten it to the Toronto Tops, and that's kind of cool. The Towers is kind of weird in some ways. I mean, that was originally supposed to be the name for the Raptors. That like Toronto Towers, because of the CN Tower, kind of locked into it. I don't know. Towers is okay, but in some ways, it's kind of a boring name. Huskies, listen, because of the connection with the first year in the NBA in Toronto, that makes sense in some ways, but in some ways it doesn't because of the Yukon thing I just said. And then also they're dogs. In some ways, I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what we get a name for our team. And maybe they don't even want to go anywhere near the dinosaur stuff and be like the Chicago Sky and have like a team name that doesn't have anything to do with the NBA team. The Chicago Bulls, Chicago Sky doesn't fit, and they're owned by totally different people. They have totally different colors, and it's a totally different thing. And they're not even tied to the Bulls. So it could go that route too, although I don't think that's likely because the cross promotions and the things, if MLSE is involved in owning both teams, they're probably going to want to have them kind of cross promoting between the Raptors. So I could see them not going the route of the Chicago ownership group because they are not owned by the same people as the Bulls. And that's part of the reason why Chicago Sky have different colors and a whole different motif than the Bulls. They could have had something that goes in that line. And a lot of these teams do, like the Lynx, obviously are connected to the Timberwolves. And they very much have the same colors and the same kind of scheme of things to their team as the Minnesota Timberwolves. So we'll have to see how that works with us. I think that we will have a team that's tied in with the Raptors just because MLSE is involved and they own both. That would just make sense to them that they would want to be able to cross promote them very easily instead of having a whole different kind of branding scheme and colors. They may want to be very similar to the Raptors in certain ways. And there may be more prestige in it if they are more like the Raptors in some ways, especially in this market. We'll have to see. Let's see. Seymour saying Monty fired. That's right. Fire with the fire. Wayne saying, I'm trying not to be in the guessing game too much. However, my top choice for a coach is still Becky. Oh my gosh. We'd be so lucky if we get Becky. Her pedigree is noteworthy. Coach Bud and Sergio are accomplished, and Stackhouse has potential. Yeah. Yeah, Stackhouse is accomplished too. I mean, seriously, the 2 years in 905 were so incredibly successful. A championship and a run to the finals and losing in the finals, that's really good. That's first and second place in a very competitive league with a lot of teams. That is really, really good. Trust me, the Stackhouse stuff is very impressive too. Cool Cat saying Samson Folks talk of a split in the team and a few intermediary guys to try and fix it. Pascal became sad over everyone not sticking together. Scott and Fred do not follow an Instagram from half season. Okay, so they stopped following each other in the halfway through the season. Man, I'm glad I'm not really trying to pay attention to all that. That would be like even more crazy work. Well, man, that sucks. So maybe it is that the writing is on the wall with Fred. That listen, he's the one who's kind of out with the contract stuff. And if Suns are going to make a really strong push, and Nick's already there all of a sudden, yeah, that writing could be on the wall with Fred, and all the Fred haters may be getting exactly what they wanted. Fred going away with Nick. Well, we'll have to see. I mean, listen, I want to do whatever is best for the team, and whatever's best for the team is what hopefully will happen. But we need to have a replacement for Fred. In some ways, listen, we're starting the season. Jeffrey Dowden Jr. is our starting point guard. That may be very weird. It may work, honestly. I love Jeff that much, and I think he's that good. It's just that we really want to have that kind of like change in our leadership at the starting point guard? Like if we don't replace Fred this summer, Jeff is our starting point guard next year, or Scotty is really actually going to play point guard more finally next year. And we're going to have to go through the learning curve of that. I don't know. We'll have to see how it all goes down. We don't have a whole lot of control of it. We just got to kind of see how it happens and see who shows up for next year. Oh man, Freddie, if you're going out like this is bad. This is really bad. G saying they don't follow each other, but they still post each other. Hence why it makes no sense to me personally. Fred posted Scotty's dunk, and Scotty posted Fred's 20 assists. Yeah, they're celebrating each other. I don't get this. I really don't get this. In some ways, it's not really in Scotty's nature. It really isn't. He's kind of like a sponge, and he's willing to listen to everybody. It's not like he's an asshole and he's like, I'm not going to listen to you. I don't want to talk to you. He maybe does that to fans, and he should, but he shouldn't be doing that with players or coaches. And yeah, there's something that doesn't add up to this exactly, that doesn't totally make sense. Maybe someday we'll find out all the truth about all this, but for right now, it will stay a mystery. G saying sideline sources just posted a Mother's Day video from Jaylen Brown. It's not what you expect. Okay, I don't even know what that is or what you're talking about. Sideline sources. Monique is saying news and notes. Congratulations, Jordan, on having his baby girl. W Stream, keep at it, Lex. Bring on Wednesday's excited. Anyone? I don't even know which Jordan you're talking about. Are you talking about Jordan Lloyd? I think you're talking about Jordan Lloyd. Is who you're probably talking about. Bring on Wednesday. Excited anyone? Yeah, it's actually Tuesday, the draft lottery, and Wednesday we'll talk about it. Space Cadet saying they have already made it known that Fred doesn't really follow anyone on Instagram. It has nothing to do with hating players. He addressed it in a post game. Yeah, what he did was that one time he stopped following everybody, and he like really just picked up the very bare minimum of who he wants to follow. He reset, he recalibrated his social media at some point in the middle of the season. Yeah, I think this is reading into things too much. Maybe Sampson knows something just because he is close to the team and he is around them to a degree, but also he isn't like he used to be. He wasn't in the press room this season. Yeah, Oren and those other guys were, but Sampson was not in the press room asking questions this past season. So I don't know. I know he's around the team and he does get some access to some point, but in some ways, I don't totally trust what he's saying in this situation because, like people are saying, there's a lot of evidence to the contrary in certain ways. But who knows? Cool Cat saying, I got the impression Sampson is talking from what he saw in practice on and off the court. Media traveling with the team knows a lot. Stories leaking slowly. Sampson said they try to be professional, but the rift is there. Oh, okay. Well, I hate to see that. I mean, I've seen them pal around on the court and like give each other high fives and kind of pat each other on the back. I don't know. Either way, whatever the problem is, Masai and Bobby need to do their job and figure out how to make this team have a better vibe and a better nucleus and just get it figured out. If there are personal issues, personnel problems between certain people, well, let's get them separated and let's make it see if we can work by getting somebody out. If people want to just blame Fred and think Fred's the guy, I think that's kind of folly. But oh, man, I hate how this is all developing like this. I'm really going to be mad if Scotty's some sort of weird young guy who's coming in and trying to destroy the Raptors franchise from the inside. Like, seriously, Scott, don't be like this. Don't be a destructive force. We need you to get along and go with everybody. And, I know that you're kind of anointed as our golden boy and our franchise player, but I don't want you destroying our team. Like, you don't want that to be our legacy that you show up and then everything kind of goes to shit over the years that you're here. You want us to build and create, and you don't want to be causing rifts. You need to respect where we're at before you came here, and I don't want to see us continue to go downhill as you come in. We need to start going up with you around. So that's the thing. I may be blaming Scott if there's some issues with our team at some point, because seriously, Fred was fine all this time on our team, and if there is an issue, in some ways, I think it's Scott's fault that he needs to be the youngster and just like kowtow to the seniority of the way the league should be. All right, let's keep going. Race mode is saying, I'm rooting for the 1% chance that Philly can move to the next round. 1%. I think it's a little higher than that, Edmund. Happy Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to it's a great sunny day today. Enjoy. Yeah, I guess I can get out there and run around in the sun a little bit today. Nameless is saying, I'm ready for whatever happens. We will manage it together. In sim me. In see me. In see me. In see him. Together. All right. Yes, Jordan. Okay, that's who I thought you meant. I know you mentioned that he was going to have a kid a couple months ago. All right. Raceman is saying, Lex, it's time to ask for Raptors Freak press pass to access the press room. I don't know if I would be considered media. I should maybe. I don't know. All right. So just a recap for today. We got our referees for today's game at 3:30. Scott Foster, Eric Lewis, and Bill Kennedy. They are favoring the Boston Celtics with Foster and Lewis, but Bill Kennedy does favor the Sixers, so there is a little bit of a chance. The WNBA game yesterday was absolutely fantastic. Really awesome to see Koloko and Jeff Doughton Jr. at the game, Delano, Serge Ibaka, all these different people showing up and doing right for the WNBA, showing support. Of course, Masai and Bobby there also, and Nav. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert says that she thinks that we'll have expansion teams come in the league for 2025. So hopefully they'll announce that we get a team sometime this season. And then next year will be an exploratory year to get everything set up for the next year for us to start competing in the WNBA as an expansion team. Now, of course, we haven't got the team yet, but I'm going to tell you right now, they'd be fools not to come back and tap into what happened in this city yesterday. That it was really, really overwhelming support, enthusiasm, and they bought everything, sold out the building, and everything went absolutely perfect this weekend for the WNBA in Canada. I'm so proud of Toronto for coming out and supporting this league yesterday. Fantastic stuff. And there were people from all walks of life. This wasn't just women. This wasn't just little kids. Everybody was there. We had a whole bunch of good vibes in that building. Yeah. Cool Cat saying Warriors also dealing with young players. Poole, Kaminga complaining too. It's just the nature of young players like other workplaces. No, wait, your turn. Now get it. Now we're here. That's a dumb mentality, though. Like, seriously, what are you, these idiots? Like Jordan Poole, you don't know how to play better than Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Seriously, Kaminga, you want to be a little idiot? This is why. You know what? Listen, if these young people want to be like this, don't even bring them to your team. I feel like Jordan Poole's a big waste of time. I have no confidence in him. And why the hell does he think he can take over and it's his time over Steph Curry? You're an idiot. And if there's anybody on the Raptors acting like this right now, check yourself. You're idiots. Seriously. This mentality is like, it's our turn. It's our turn now. No bullshit. It's not your turn yet. This is the way it works. First of all, it's so bad with the development of young players right now. Y'all don't even fucking know how to play. You're fundamentally horrible. You don't have good attributes. You don't even like practice free throws enough. You don't dribble right. You're not fundamentally good. You lack 4 years of college. So you're not good players. In fact, you guys are not ready to take over probably till 5 or 6 years in your career. So every player that's in the league, unless you're some really special case and a phenomenon on a huge level, you need to check yourselves. Because seriously, y'all aren't even going to college for 4 years. Y'all aren't even learning the game right. Y'all don't even know how to play the game right. And it's not your time, you idiots. Jordan Poole, you're an idiot. And if this stuff is going on the Warriors team and that's part of their dysfunction, well, these young players need to check themselves. I'm sorry, I'm on the old head side. The proof is in the pudding. How many rings does Draymond, Steph, and Klay have? And how many rings do you have, Jordan Poole? And are you lucky to have that ring because you were on along with those guys? So anybody who's running around like Jordan Poole and thinks it's my time over those players, you guys need to check yourself. And Scotty, if you're acting that way on the Toronto Raptors, you're an idiot. So don't act like that on this team. Very much respect people like OG, Fred, Pascal ahead of you that have done these things ahead of you. And if this mentality is just indicative of this generation, all right, well, I would get behind it in some ways politically out there in the world with the laws, with the governments. Get like this, young people. But in places like the NBA, no, this kind of mentality doesn't work. I'm sorry. In fact, you're shooting yourself in the foot. But if you want to be like this in your everyday life, actively and engaged in civic events, in politics, and that kind of stuff, go for it, please. We need the change there, and you're exactly right. We fuck things up, and you can do a much better job in some ways. Young leaders, but not on the basketball court. Y'all are failing. You look like idiots, and you're not fundamentally good. But in real life, in politics, yes, step up and take it, and don't listen to us old heads in that area, and take the power, please. But otherwise, nah. Not in the NBA. Y'all are going to continue to shoot your teams in the foot, sabotage your teams. You can wonder why you had a mid-season this year where no people weren't together. Well, that's part of the problem. The respect isn't there for the people ahead of you, and you need to have that respect. In fact, Masai, if you're going to have young knuckleheads on our team, you need to get rid of them. Honestly, I don't care if they're the future. I'd much rather have an old veteran team that's savvy and will compete their ass off than have a bunch of really talented, high flying, great players that don't understand the legacy of the game and passing the knowledge down from vets to younger players. Because that there's no place in this league for that. If there's a disconnect in this league between the young players because of their ego and they don't think they need to learn anything, they're idiots and they have no place on my team. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So Scott, if you have any of these kind of tendencies, get rid of them right now and start buying in to listening to your elders. Seriously, seriously, this is a big problem. If that's a problem for the Warriors, it can be have a problem for anybody. If there's going to be young players on the Warriors that aren't going to listen to Steph Curry, then there's a problem for everybody in this league. Seriously, you're going to be on a team and think you're better than Steph Curry, Jordan Poole? You're an idiot. You are absolutely an idiot. And that's what y'all get. You get a loss to the Lakers like you did this week. So dumb. Why are young people so dumb in that way? Seriously, I'm not saying all of them, but if there are young people that are arrogant and think that they know everything already, you're idiots. You seriously are. And you're going to go through a bunch of trial and error and make a whole bunch of huge mistakes that you probably didn't have to. It's just listen to somebody who'd already lived it before you and they're warning you about it. That's part of the problem right there is you want to make the same damn mistakes that other people made ahead of you just because you won't listen to them. Then you go ahead and make those same damn mistakes and you don't get ahead because of it. Yeah, there you go. Bam, 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 and bam. All right, let's see what else is you guys are saying. I'm gonna finish this up. I'm gonna finish this up. Let's see. Nameless is saying, "Laugh out loud." I knew that one would trip you up. Somebody clip that. that Italian. You go ahead. You can do it, Nameless. You can do your own channel and call it Italian Lessons with the Raptors Freak, and just have all the Italian clips. Like when you make me say Italian stuff, and then we can even turn it into lessons for other people. When you say, "Here's where the Raptors Freak screwed up with his pronunciation of," and then you'd be like, "Oh, that's how you should have said it." Mike's saying the tough love bringer will create feelings, but in time, things are deepened from the result being good for the one receiving tough love. I think Nick was never really doing that, so Fred had to turn it up. That's part of the problem too. Is Nick's the nice dad? Nick's the players coach. Nick's like no conflict. Let you guys do whatever you want. And Fred, in some ways, had to be more stern and had to be kind of the asshole. And in some ways, that wasn't right. Now, the other thing I don't like about this is the young people want to be coddled. Do you just want to be feeling good? Do you just want all the nice things said to you? That's a problem with some of these youngsters too. They can't take criticism. They can't take like this is how you can get better if you do this. Instead, they were like, I'm not gonna listen to him. I know what's best for me already. That kind of attitude is part of the problem too. It's like you do really need to be coddled and held handheld. Oh, everybody, he said mean things to me. He's your coach. He's supposed to. He's trying to get the best out of you. Oh no, I don't want him to coach us if he's so mean. That's the thing. That's the difference. Can you be coached? Can you be yelled at? Can you be like taught in a harsh way? Or do you have to be coddled like a little baby? Oh, little baby, my feelings hurt. Oh no. That's the problem. The intersection of the money and the power with the players because of contracts and stuff like that causes these kind of issues where the team kind of kisses their ass and maybe coddles them and maybe it's too nice to them. And that's why they're soft motherfuckers because they get coddled. They wouldn't be so soft that they weren't so coddled if they actually were treated like the way NBA pros were treated throughout the history of the NBA. You become men. You don't become like these coddled little ego boys. And I think that may be part of the problem with today's NBA is there's coddled little ego boys that aren't really like hardened like vets, like the old school NBA vets would be like. I think if you went and talked to Charles Oakley, you went and talked to some of these other older vets around the NBA, people that have been out of the game for a while, they tell you the exact thing that I just told you is a huge problem with this league right now. Is the coddling of happy, oh, be nice to me. Tell me what's good about what I do and don't ever criticize me, please. That kind of bullshit. That's a big problem. It's a big, big problem. We're seeing it in the league with the Raptors and the Warriors right now. Then anybody's susceptible. Let's see. Cowboys saying, everyone have a great Mother's Day. That landed on Sunday. Laugh out loud. W stream Lex and get in the press room. The Raptors need to hire you. I don't know what if they need to hire me. I'm going to do what I'm going to do no matter what. If this develops into something else in some other way and it's a kind of thing like that, hey, I'm all about it. But otherwise, I'm perfectly happy where I'm at. Just like some of these coaching candidates, I'm sure. Seymour saying Jordan Poole spent $500,000 on a date with Ice Spice. He is a super waste man. Yeah, that's pretty dorky. Yeah, that's pretty dorky. Yeah, you're a fool. This guy's an idiot, honestly. I mean, look, in some ways he's an attractive guy, and that's why all these women think he's so great and so good. That's part of the problem. Is like in some ways, some of these players' value is inflated just because they're attractive or good looking. Yeah, he's a garbage player. Colin Cowherd was right. I was right. And if you think that Jordan Poole's a good player in this NBA, you are crazy. The old heads know the truth, and he is one of these dudes. Let's see. Cool Cat saying, Lex, the root of the problem, all these young players were told they were special for so many years. Yes, this is part of it. They are here and now in the NBA. Why won't they think that in the NBA? Well, part of the problem is that they're not very smart to understand the NBA. Every single person who comes in the league, Jeff Dowtin Jr., when he came up through Rhode Island, he got treated like you are the man, you are the absolute best. You're so good. Well, at some point, he had to hit a wall where it's like, this is kind of a defeat. You're getting cut. You're getting to this two-way. You're going to have to be on the G League team. You got to eat a little bit of humbleness. That makes you a better, more rounded player. In fact, I like Jeff for that reason. He's been humbled in this kind of way so that he really understands and he really appreciates any opportunity. In some ways, you want a grateful attitude, not a condescending kind of like, I expect everything for myself kind of attitude. And that's kind of why you need to humble these guys to a degree. They don't understand that every single one of them in the league got treated like that at a certain point. That you're just so great, you're so good, because you have to be that good to get to each level, whether it's in high school, to college, to even to get in the NBA. So that's the problem. These guys have a disconnect with reality and not understanding. Like, and some of y'all aren't as good as you think you are, and you're not going to make it in the NBA as much as you think you are, but you're coming in with the airs and the attitude like you will be. And that's part of the problem too. You got role players acting like they're superstars. That's messed up. And I think you're exactly right, Cool Cat. That the root of this problem is that they're told they're special so young for so long. Now, in some ways, you need to tell them that, but you need to ground them in reality also. You know, Gary Trent Jr. has been very much raised right in this respect with Gary Trent Sr. He said, don't get too big for your britches and don't think you're so special. You know, I'll knock your block down a little bit and check you real quick if you're getting a little arrogant. So in some ways, Gary is very much kept in check, but he has the right kind of balance between that belief and strong confidence and like, I can go do this, but also staying humble and grounded. And that's something that's really important, that kind of balance in NBA professionals. And it's lacked in a lot of different individuals at this point. And it's too bad. It is part of the reason why the product is horrible. And this is part of the reason why the NBA is not as good as it was 20 years ago. That this has developed more and more worse as the years have gone by. Mike is saying, I think Fred telling Masai about that very part sealed Nick's fate. Hence, Fred's mixed emotions, knowing Nick is a good guy, but wasn't hard enough. I don't exactly understand what you're saying. Once again, I think Fred telling Masai about that very part. What part? What part are you talking about? You gotta elaborate, Mike. I don't know what you mean. Nameless is saying NCMA. NCMA. Okay, I think I got it right. Maybe that's right. Together. Canadian Cowboy saying Poole spent all his ice and he didn't get any spice. Cowboys funny. All right, G saying Anthony Edwards is impressing me. He's going to France to train with Gobert to make sure they get their chemistry right. See, that's a commitment. This is a young man who's saying, I don't want to miss games. This is a young man who's saying, if I'm healthy and I can play, I'm going to play. Not like some of these other guys. I don't understand why they're not enthusiastic or want to get out there. In fact, that list on my All NBA spreadsheet from Friday, it shows the list of guys who did not manage to get to 65 games. And in some ways, those guys may be these guys that kind of Anthony Edwards doesn't have as much respect for because they're more willing to sit out over like a hurt pinky or something stupid like that. And that I love his attitude. You know, I can't just lump all the young players in one place, like I just said. Anthony Edwards is the opposite of what I've been talking about just now. And he is definitely one of the good examples of a young player doing it right. And I love hearing this. This is really going above and beyond. In fact, he doesn't have to do this in some ways in any kind of way, because it could be that they move Gobert out of there because he did fail this first year with the Minnesota Timberwolves with Cat. And, he's showing an initiative that he wants to try and make this work and keep him around. That's fantastic. Kudos to Anthony Edwards. That's the way a young pro should be, is how he is. And in fact, he had an issue with making a mistake on social media recently, and he really owned up to it and came back around and made up for it in a very impressive way also. You could learn a lot from Anthony Edwards, Ja Morant. Let's just put it that way. Seymour saying, where do you see Ayton playing next season? Well, I've heard different things, like where they may do some sort of weird swap with Capella for Atlanta. That Ayton in Atlanta is something that I heard a lot last summer. I know that they were interested in him. I would totally take us out of the picture. We may have been involved last year when we didn't have Pirtle, but this year I don't think that is very likely for him to come here. Some Raptors fans still want him to come here, and they're very much pushing for it, but I'm not with them. I don't know. I don't know. It may very well be that they're going to sign and trade. Now, Ayton said he wants to continue to play for the Suns. He said, "I'm ready to still be here." And now that they fired Monty, well, maybe he is still going to be with the Suns, and he may not be going anywhere. That's very interesting. Let's see. Monique is saying, "Love your rants, so newsworthy." Seriously, thank you, Monique. Appreciate that. And I'm glad that you and I are like-minded. We line up on a lot of stuff, on the same thing. Like, opinions are very similar quite often with Monique and I. If we're different in opinion, that's very, very rare. Not very often. Nameless is saying, I'm going to title my first video, Raptors Freak Struggles with the Language of Love. That's so deep and poetic for me in so many different ways. Yes. You totally, that's knock it out of the park content right there, just from that title. I think everybody will want to see this if you do this. Seymour saying, where do you see Ayton playing? Oh, yeah, I read that one. I jumped with that one. Mike saying, part was the subject of Fred having to turn up the tough love because Nick Nurse wasn't getting things done, and Fred saw the things that were more issues. See, that's part of the problem. In some ways, Nick may have been sabotaging the team, and in some ways, he may have saw an opportunity to mess up the camaraderie of Fred with the rest of them by not being a leader himself. I've been involved in group projects where we've had a director. Like, I did a show once, and we had a director who was in charge, and I was very much one of the writers, but I became more like somebody who's in charge because the director didn't feel like being a leader. And I stepped up into that role, and I, at the detriment of the other people I worked with, because they're like, this guy, well, I was one of the older writers. And, I had like a natural leadership tendency. And in some ways, the director had noted me as the head writer of the show. So in some ways, he allowed me to do a lot of the busy work that he didn't really want to do in running and administering the show. So I did a lot more than the average writer would have done. Well, the other writers had a problem with me taking a leadership role. They were like, who the fuck are you telling us what to do? He's the director. You're not. Well, he's given me the authority to be this guy in charge, and they didn't respect it. In fact, it caused a whole bunch of problems. And this could be a very similar situation to what happened with Fred, is that he had Nick not taking leadership responsibility for hard things to do, and it fell in Fred's lap. And that made the other people like turned off against him because they're like, well, you're a player just like us. Why are you acting like the coach? Well, because the coach isn't acting like the coach. So I know exactly how Fred would have felt in that situation, because you're just trying to make sure the show goes on. And some things have to happen. You got to make sure they happen. Well, people may start not liking you or having some sort of gripe against you just because you're stepping into bigger shoes to be a leader in the absence of somebody who should have been the leader. Oh man, I know exactly how that feels. Oh my gosh. All right, let's keep going. Cool Cat's saying also, kudos to Ant-Man. Hope he learns some French too. The exposure will be great for him. Yeah, I love Anthony Edwards. He's a young player that I would love to have on the Raptors. He's very Jordan-esque in certain ways. There's certain qualities about him that are very Jimmy Butler, Michael Jordan. And that's the kind of guy you want on your team. So he is definitely a hot commodity in this league, and somebody that I will be watching for years to come and being like rooting for, because he's doing it right. I really do like Anthony Edwards a lot. Let's see. G is saying, this is why Miami, with many undrafted players, are doing so well. They dealt with criticism all their life and pressure, and criticism doesn't phase them. In some ways, we're built that same way. We're kind of like Fred was a castaway, didn't get drafted. In some ways, Fred's perspective is totally different than Scotty's, just because Scotty has always been a golden boy and had the path out in front of him, where Fred really had to work hard and carve his path and make it happen. And that is something that may be true, that Miami players may be more hard nosed and easier, not coddled like some of these other guys, because they had a harder route. They were undrafted. They weren't heralded. They weren't treated like, oh, you're the greatest and all this kind of stuff. And that may be part of it. I think you're right, G, that could be part of it. Some of these guys just need humbling. They come in the league, they're lottery picks. I'm in the NBA and all this kind of stuff. They need to be humbled. I'm sorry, in some ways. The older players need to put these guys on the floor and teach them. It's like, look, you can't come in here, young blood, and acting like this. We're going to show you this is how this league is, and you got to earn your keep. And you can't just come in or egotistical and act like you got it all already. You have to earn it, and that's something that's missing in this league to a degree. Nameless is saying, "Perfecto Italiano." If Sergio ends up coaching the Raptors, we're all going to have to brush up on our skills. That is, what? That's an amazing reason. Another reason for why we need Sergio to come coach, so our Italian will get better. I'm all about that, Nameless. Seriously, if Sergio is our next coach, we're going to have a regular segment on here, Sergio's Italian lessons with Nameless. And that maybe have to be something regular. Yeah, dedicate a segment. Exactly. You're saying the same thing I'm saying right here. Mike's saying, Lex, sounds like a similar thing. Nick just was always the nice coach in a sense and not hard enough. Yeah. Yeah, he's a player's coach. In some ways, it was all set up for him with Lowry and Gasol on the team for him, helping to do a lot of the work on the court. Well, these leaders are stripped away from our team, and Fred's the last kind of real leader around. Yeah, that's tough. I wish they would respect Fred and just let him be that guy, because I would trust him. If he's being a hard ass, if he's coming after you guys, you need to just eat it and listen to him. It's like Chris said, there's only one guy on the team he'll really listen to and take criticism from, and he said it's Fred. So if Fred came to him and said something about his game, Chris would listen to him. And Chris is smart. He's been in this league a long time. You want to stay in the league, you need to listen to your old head vets. And if there's any disconnect or people poo-pooing or not listening to those vets, well, you need to get over yourself and start listening. Let's see. Coach Cowboy saying, where is Nick? You may need to call him soon. Like, I don't know. Maybe we do need to put out a search party, or wondering where the hell he is. We haven't heard a peep or anything. No, say, I love you, Toronto. Thank you for all the memories, the championship, all this stuff. None of that. Where is that, Nick? Mike's saying, but Casey was too hard. So middle ground on that should be better as a head coach. Screw that. Casey was not too hard. These guys are too coddled. We need a drill sergeant. We need somebody to come in there and get them regimented and get them. No, Casey wasn't too hard. He reconciled things with Lowry over time. They did have a lot of problems with how hard Casey wanted them to work and Lowry what he was willing to do, but they figured it out and they got it all worked out, and they coexisted just fine and did very well. That's the thing. You can push yourself to new heights with that friction. In fact, that's the word Masai said. He needed more friction on the team to get the best out of them. And that means a coach coming down hard on them and telling them what they need to be doing. And Nick wasn't doing that last season. And Casey came in and did that. Yeah, that'd be a welcome approach at this point for the Raptors. And in some ways, they got babied last year. We need to be hard asses on them. Scotty, we're going to have to be hard ass on you. No more coddling. No more Scotty basketball from Florida, All-American, top 5 pick. You need to come in and do the work and be ready to get yelled at and maybe not hear everything pleasantly in some ways. We need a coach that will get in your face and hold you guys accountable and push you to play at a higher level. That is what we need. That you guys wouldn't play at the highest level that you could have last year. And that's because the coach didn't motivate you or get it out of you. And that's a big change we need right there. Right there. Nameless is saying, as Sergio coaches, can I be the appointed Raptors Freak channel interpreter? Of course. In fact, you've already been that. So on that note, Nameless, thanks for watching me today, y'all. WNBA, huge success this weekend. We deserve a team Kathy Engelbert. So you better get that team up here in the next 3 years. We would love to go to WNBA games all summer long. In fact, I might even become a season ticket holder if y'all come up here. I may put that little bit of money down and go to those games every single game and be a season ticket holder for you games, because I really enjoyed my first ever WNBA game yesterday. That I went down to the arena and sat in the arena with everybody, felt the good vibes, saw the loud enthusiasm, saw the sold out merchandise booths. Yeah, I may be a season ticket holder if y'all come and bring that team here, the Raptors Freaks. So come on down. All right, thanks, Mike. W Stream, thank you. And check out Mike's channel, Logical Raptors Fanatic. Always good. Please like, comment, subscribe also to this channel, and share it if you feel like anywhere. All right, I'll be back tomorrow with a Monday memory or moment. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. Just kind of trying to figure it out already, but I'm not totally positive. All right. Thanks, y'all, for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Raptor Free channel, and I'll be back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Let's go, Raptors. Let's go, WNBA. Expand to Toronto. You know it's the right move, so just go ahead and get the wheels turning. This is going to be a fantastic place to have the WNBA play regularly. Trust me, you will not fail in Toronto. Toronto will be a huge, huge success, and y'all will have a diehard contingency of very diehard, passionate fans like me following your team. Trust me, you will get us. All right, y'all, let's go Raptors.